Hi there, my name's Sean, and I want to talk about Rocko's Modern Life. Buckle your seatbelts and adjust your rearview mirrors because today we're checking out skid marks.
I hope you got insurance, pal, because you're gonna hear from my lawyer.
We open mid-action with an O-Town Action News special bulletin. Police are in their 5th hour of a grueling low-speed chase across the empty highways of the city. The suspect car? Well, it's Rocko, with Spunky in the passenger seat, both completely oblivious to the 5-hour pursuit behind them. Rocko casually notes how no one's on the road and they seem to have the whole highway to themselves as they cruise at their leisurely pace. As he exits the highway, he finds himself face to face with a police barricade. A SWAT unit armed with fly swatters surround the car while an officer with a megaphone demands that the suspect exit the vehicle. The officers smack the trunk until the hatch pops open and a squirrel emerges with his arms raised, immediately surrendering to the apprehending officers. You would think that ends the madness, but instead of being treated like a fugitive, Rocko is ticketed for a missing gas cap. His car is towed off and he's told that he needs to rectify things with the DMV, or MVD, depending on where you live. What a setup. There's something strangely 90s coded about kicking things off with a big chase sequence just to make the rest of the episode about a trip to the DMV. It's like a Kramer subplot in a Seinfeld episode.
Oh, sorry. Hit it, boys!
Rocko and Spunky head to the Department of Motor Vehicles to sort out the ticket. Along the way, drivers lean out the windows and mock him for not having a car. It's such a specific, irrational anxiety. The kind of thing you would never expect to happen in real life until a cartoon makes it feel like it's possible.
Hey, pedestrian! What's the matter? Ain't you got no car?
Imagine getting publicly roasted every time you step into a crosswalk. For walking. The nerve of some people is wild. Inside, the lines are exactly what you would expect. Long, slow, and buried in red tape.
Attention, please. Will the owner of a small dog, license number 135790, please come up to the security desk.
Then we get Filbert, which allows me to segue a little bit into a Mr. Lawrence appreciation segment. He directed this episode, contributed additional writing, and voices not just Filbert the Turtle, but also the news anchor from the opening of the episode.
Weren't they great, folks?
Fun fact, this is the first and only time Mr. Lawrence voices that news anchor. Filbert brings back that tightly wound, neurotic energy the first season has mostly kept in the background. Where Heifer is loud and outward opposite of Rocko's straight man demeanor, Filbert is more inward and anxious.
And the plate of my head is vibrating.
And somehow, despite that contrast between him and Heifer, he still manages to harmonize with Rocko's energy. It creates a social structure that only works because Rocko is the axis. You pull him out and the whole thing collapses. As Filbert becomes more prevalent later on, the contrast between him and Heifer sharpens into something closer to frenemies in most situations. Kind of like their vocal counterparts in SpongeBob and Plankton.
You could say we're friends, right?
No.
Anyway, I digress. Earlier in the season, Filbert plays the jack-of-all-trades character, ending up in a different job every week depending on what the show needs. So this week, we have him at the DMV. He tells Rocko that he needs to fill out some forms and get an eye exam before they can do anything about his ticket situation. Filbert also warns ominously that when he does take his driver's test, he should be careful not to get the fat guy.
Hey! Hold on, you! When you take the driver's test, don't get the fat guy.
The warning just kinda hangs there without explanation. And without a word, Rocko takes his leave. In the eye doctor's office, a pre-recorded voice instructs Rocko to take a seat in the chair and read the chart in front of him out loud.
The doctor is sneaking up behind you. He's a madman. Get out while you still can.
He panics just as the chair reveals itself to be the doctor and grabs him, forcing that classic cartoon bulging eye look that just happens to be perfect for an eye exam. After a quick but thorough check, Rocko is sent on his way, once again warned to avoid the fat guy for his driving test.
Good luck on your driving test, son. Hope you don't get the fat guy.
Outside of the exam room, Rocko encounters a chubby driving instructor pig, also voiced by Mr. Lawrence, who skips down the hallway. He pauses to lean in and whispers to Rocko,
Don't step on the white ones. Hot lava. Pineapples.
Now, I'm not saying Mr. Lawrence single-handedly launched the whole lol so random wave of millennial humor, but it'd be hard to argue that he didn't at least help lay down the groundwork.
Rev up those fryers, because I am sure hungry for one. Help! Help! My leg! Chocolate! Chocolate! Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Rocko slips past our new pig friend and into a classroom for screening driver's ed films. It's the kind of room where you'd sit through a grainy, low-budget road safety shockumentary like Speed Kills or Red Asphalt. O-Town has its own version queued up too, but first we're introduced to a very large, very rotund, German-accented, whip-wielding cat instructor. And this particular instructor has certain historic attributes, as far as I'm concerned. You're all wild pigs!
I'm a wild pig!
He shouts every word, cracking the whip between syllables while shaming the room for being there at all.
You are here because you have disgraced the name of the Department of Motor Vehicles.
He lays down the rules, cues up the PSA, and on his way out, he leaves with one final warning. Even he can't help you if you end up with the fat guy.
I can't help you if you get the fat guy!
Rocko, tasked with manning the projector, starts the film as the lights dim. The red concrete PSA is hosted by a boxing glove-wearing clown puppet who dodges off-screen punches while introducing the carnage to come.
If you're like me, sometimes you forget the...
Rules of the road.
It's a pretty straightforward road safety parody. Tomatoes stand in for family members, a low-speed crash hits a wall, and the tomatoes explode on impact. The splatter sends the classroom into tears, with some even retching at the tomato-stained horror on screen. The film is meant to terrify him, but Rocko looks around the room and sees only absurdity. He disengages and eventually nods off at the projector. Before the moment passes, we see the clown puppet warn once again not to get the fat guy for the driving exam.
And don't get the fat guy!
An undetermined amount of time skips forward as Rocko wakes to find the lights on, the classroom empty, and a signed certificate of completion taped to his forehead. The only thing standing between Rocko and getting his car back now is the driving test. Outside of the DMV, Rocko nervously waits for his driving instructor. He's been getting warnings about this fat guy driving test instructor all day long, and now is the moment of truth. The instructor arrives on foot, miming and sounding out driving in an imaginary car, which, you know, LARPing a driving test sounds pretty on par for the O-Town DMV. Oh, and of course the driving instructor is a large, round elephant character, which is supposed to imply that he might be the fat guy, but he's not as large in stature as some of the other previous instructors, so probably not. Rocko takes the helm of the imaginary car, fastens his imaginary safety belt, puts the car in gear, and gets things going.
I don't hear the engine.
Vroom vroom?
Attaboy. Easy.
Even though the test takes place on an enclosed lot, it's laid out like an obstacle course. Ramps, endurance checks, and flaming barrels give it more of a Ninja Warrior vibe than a standard driving exam. From there, the course winds into a wooded section marked as a frequent crossing zone for mutant deer. Rocko rubbernecks at the sign, taking his eyes off the road, and plows the imaginary car straight into the knee of one of these towering deer.
That's a fracture. I've seen him.
The herd gathers and threatens litigation, with the driving instructor immediately buckling under the pressure and intimidation. Back at the DMV, the elephant instructor quickly gives Rocko his passing grade and asks him to take his leave. Stammering through the request while trembling, he's clearly still shaken up from the mutant deer fiasco. Inside the photo section of the DMV, Rocko finds the Chameleon brothers, Chuck and Leon, managing the station. Rocko hands over his paperwork stating that he's ready for his photo, he's passed his test, and he proudly proclaims that he even got the fat guy. But the elephant instructor was never the fat guy. The real fat guy is revealed to be a multi-story kaiju of a corporate pig with rolls of gelatinous fat that pour out over his waistband to terrorize anyone who dares to be near him. Back at the studio, the Chameleon brothers launch into a full modeling-style photo shoot, snapping Polaroids and splashing water on Rocko between takes. It plays like a high-fashion moment for about 10 seconds before revealing that, like the rest of us, Rocko is ultimately doomed to have a terrible license photo.
Wow, you two are amazing.
With the eye exam, driving test, and new photo all complete, Rocko heads back to the main portion of the DMV to find Filbert and finish his journey. However, when prompted for the paperwork, there's just one detail missing. Rocko never picked up a replacement gas cap. He still can't legally drive the car home. As Rocko heads towards the door in defeat, his path is blocked. It's the arresting officers and the squirrel from the beginning of the episode. Turns out the squirrel had the original gas cap on him the entire time.
Here's your lousy gas cap. I'm sorry.
So the entire ordeal went down essentially because no one could be bothered to do some due diligence after arresting the squirrel in the first place. Even when Rocko wins, it still kind of feels like a loss, which I guess that's pretty on par for an episode of Rocko's Modern Life.
Daddy! Teacher says every time a gas cap is found, an angel gets its wings.
Your teacher's full of snot.
Kid Marks is a solid episode with fantastic pacing. However, there is a slight lack of heifer, which keeps this from being considered a more perfect episode in my eyes. It's definitely a great reintroduction to Filbert, though. Depending on how you're watching this show, this episode might have been your introduction to Filbert, but for those following along in the Paramount order, then this is our third time meeting Filbert, with the other times being Rocko's Happy Sack and Canned.
You turn the page, you wash your hands. You turn the page, you wash your hands. And then you turn the page.
If you want to check out those episode breakdowns or any other Rocko episodes that I've covered, there is a playlist in the description with every Rocko episode that I've broken down so far, with more to come. And if you're a fan of these episodic breakdowns of 90s cartoons, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I like making these videos and it really helps out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Well, that's it.